Alright, welcome back to the armchair video. Hopefully I'm in the shot for the iPhone. No, I'm in the shot for the Canon because I can see the screen is flipped out. I can see myself. Anyways, I just wanted to do a quick video of the Canon M50's video quality versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max's camera. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because there may be some people out there that are debating on whether they want to get a new phone or a new camera that's dedicated for video, or just use the phone and have a like all-in-one purpose video recording camera kind of deal. So this is kind of the camera quality, video quality difference between the two. On the left here I have the Canon M50. It's recording at 1080p, I believe 24 frames per second, while the iPhone 12 Pro Max should be recording in 4K 24 frames per second. So that's one thing to kind of talk about right off the bat, is that the iPhone's video quality should be crisper than the Canon's, because the Canon is only in 1080p while the iPhone's in 4K. So there's that difference already right there. Thing is, with the iPhone though, the best lens to kind of use for the video is the main wide lens, which is a 26mm equivalent lens. That lens would work okay for people that are just kind of doing the sitting talking head videos, whereas with the Canon it comes with a kit lens that's 15mm, so you'll have a wider field of view for those that are vlogging. You'll be able to capture more with this lens, and both lenses have optical image stabilization, so there's that. So for people that are out vlogging, they don't have to worry about their videos being too shaky. One thing though, again with the iPhone, if you're going to be vlogging, the 26mm equivalent is going to be pretty close on your face, so it won't have as wide of a view as the Canon's kit lens at 15mm. So that's something to have to consider. With the kit lens, it can zoom in to 45mm, while the iPhone can zoom in to, I believe, 55mm, maybe more. Not entirely sure what the zoom lens can do. One other thing to take into consideration, the iPhone's aperture on the lens is lower than the Canon's aperture on the kit lens. The kit lens on the Canon goes from 3.5 to 6.3 when you're zoomed all the way in, while the iPhone's aperture, I believe, is 1.6 on the main wide angle lens and 2.4 on the zoom lens. So you should have better low light performance on the iPhone than the Canon. I guess that's something that remains to be seen. Maybe I'll do another kind of low light video test between these cameras. Right now we're in not the most optimal lighting, but it's better lighting than my last video. So like I said, this is the kit lens versus the iPhone. There's a pretty big price difference. I believe the iPhone, at least the one I have, is like 3 times the price of the Canon. So this is the quality you'll expect from the base Canon M50 with the internal audio and the internal audio of the 12 Pro Max. One great thing about having a dedicated camera though is that with the Canon you can kind of customize it a little bit more. So what I'll do next is I will turn on the mic for the Canon so we can hear the audio from a dedicated mic on the camera. Plus I'm going to switch out the kit lens for this Sigma 1.4 16mm lens, which is a lens that I really love. The problem with this lens though is that there's no zoom, so the iPhone will have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to being able to zoom in and out in your videos. I don't necessarily think it's that big of a deal, at least for the kind of things I'm doing right now. Maybe for other vloggers or other YouTubers, it might be a problem if they can't zoom in or out. For instances like when they're vlogging outdoors and checking out cars or some people and they want to zoom in and punch in on those people, you probably have a better time with the iPhone. But a great thing about having a dedicated camera like the Canon is there are several different kinds of lens options out there that you can switch to that can provide, different kinds of things that you will need for different kinds of situations. So you can use things like the kit lens for zooming when you're outdoors and there's plenty of light outside. You don't really have to worry about the video quality being fuzzy or full of noise because you have to worry about the ISOs or anything like that. So alright, so now I have the Sigma lens on the Canon. I am still a little bit closer now, so that's why it's a little bit closer on my face. I was trying to adjust some of the brightness, but I think that's the best I can do. Anyways, tell me what you think about the difference between the Sigma lens and the dedicated mic versus the iPhone's internal mic and the, I guess, base stock lens on it. I guess one other thing I could mention is that with the iPhone, you can also buy these separate lenses from Moment where you can increase the width of the iPhone's wide angle lens from the 26mm to like a, I don't know, 15mm equivalent. I'm not really well versed on what Moment has to offer, but that's something to consider. But I think, I don't know, to me, it seems like a better idea to go with the Canon setup because it will be cheaper and you'll be able to do a lot more with it. With this new Sigma lens and mic, I believe it brings the cost of the camera total, you know, body with the kit lens. So you have two lenses, the Sigma lens and the mic, to about $1,000. I think you can get the Canon with the kit lens for about $550 right now. The Moment lens was $400, so right now you're at $950 plus the $30 mic, which, I mean, it's less than $1,000, but if you kind of incorporate tax depending on where you live, it could put you right at $1,000 for a dedicated camera. That's pretty great if you ask me, especially with the Sigma lens and lower light. It's great. Whereas if you buy the iPhone, if you want to record in 4K video, you're going to have to go for a higher storage option. I recommend a 256 gigabyte phone minimum, especially if you're using it for your YouTube content, because 4K file sizes are huge. And if you don't want to record in 4K, you want to record in 1080p, then even more so, I'd suggest getting something like the Canon, because you're spending a lot of money on a 1080p camera when you can just get a dedicated camera. So, but if you are using this for 4K, which I will admit will be better video quality when you're in broad daylight kind of situations where you have optimal lighting, you'll get better results using the iPhone, especially when you switch to like the ultra wide camera, because on the ultra wide camera, it's actually not that great in low light, but you would have a wider field of view, which would be nice for your content. But I would only suggest using the ultra wide lens on the iPhone when you're in broad daylight and not in lower light situations like this. So with the iPhone, I'm actually going to switch to the ultra wide real quick, which means I'll probably have to push the Canon back a little bit because it'll probably be in frame. So let's check it out. All right, so now I'm in the ultra wide mode for the iPhone, which is actually a 13mm equivalent. I did have to push the Canon back a little bit because the lens was a little bit in the frame. Shouldn't be now, but tell me what you think about the quality difference between the Canon at 16mm, and it's a little punched in because I have the electronic image stabilization on, which I never turn off, I don't know why, versus the 13mm equivalent of the iPhone. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the Canon has a much larger sensor than the iPhone, so in lower light situations, the Canon should do a bit better. But again, in broad daylight, it doesn't really matter in optimal lighting situations. The iPhone would do just fine, and probably even better in some situations where you have plenty of light, because this is recording in 4K. So anyways, this is just a quick video in my armchair video situations. I guess another thing I would say about having the iPhone as a dedicated YouTube camera, I mean, it works fine. It works perfectly fine if you want to kind of go all in with an iPhone, because the iPhone has more uses than just video. You can also do great photography, especially in broad daylight with optimal lighting situations. It's even getting better at low light situations because it has a larger aperture and sensor in there now. The iPhone can also be used for many other things, like editing your videos, uploading your videos, editing photos, uploading photos, versus the Canon where you would have to get like an additional dongle or use the app, which I would recommend getting a dongle where you can take files directly from the SD card versus using the app to transfer it wirelessly, because it can take forever, honestly, versus, you know, having an iPhone where you just have everything on there at all times. When as soon as you use it, you don't have to worry about transferring or anything like that. So anyways, that's my opinion. If you have any questions for me, ask them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. I guess you should also tell me what you think about the difference of audio of the iPhone, because I believe the iPhone should have like spatial audio features when it comes to recording video, and the Canon has a dedicated mic, so the audio should be a little bit crisper, a little less echoey, hopefully. But yeah, those are just my thoughts and opinions on the iPhone and the Canon. I might do some more videos later on of walking around with both of the cameras so you can see what the stabilization is like. Maybe do another video on the low light capabilities of both of these cameras compared to each other. If you're interested in that, let me know down below, and I'll do my best to get those videos out in a timely manner. Sorry you heard my work stuff in the background. I have to get back to work pretty soon. Lunchtime is almost over, and I guess I'll catch you in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick comparison.